Welcome to the Mission First People Always podcast. We're glad you're here. And now our host, Dr. Mike Patterson.
To some, networking has uninviting connotations. If working the room, handing out business cards, and inviting new acquaintances to coffee doesn't feel comfortable or natural to you, then this episode just might be for you. Today, we're going all the way to Manila in the Philippines to talk with someone who has built a powerful network in natural, authentic ways. To say that she is well connected would be a grave understatement. So I am excited to hear from her and again, welcome you to our show.
Welcome to the Mission First People Always podcast, where we talk about better business results, stronger teams, more successful careers, and happier lives. Along the way, we hope to bust some biases, build some bridges, and have some fun. We're glad you're here. And now, our host, Dr. Mike Patterson.
My guest today is coming to us from the other side of the world. She resides in Manila in the Philippines, where it is already tomorrow. I'm excited to introduce you to Racquel Cagurangan, is currently the general manager for International SOS in the Philippines. If you're not familiar with International SOS, it's a company that provides global medical assistance and evacuation for travelers who are away from their home countries. Prior to this most recent post, Racquel has held a wide array of senior executive positions in both healthcare and telecommunications. For example, she has led a chain of 200 medical clinics and mobile X-ray units. She's been the chief operating officer of the largest HMO in the Philippines and has been a leader in several professional societies. In the telecommunications industry, she has been an executive with both AT&T and Globe Telecom, the largest telecommunications company based in the Philippines. Early in her career, she was the general manager of a call center with 800 employees. Friends, she's done it all over her 30-year career. But the reason I'm excited to speak with Racquel today is because she's going to share with us how she has developed critically important professional relationships and blessed others all along her journey. And she did this in an authentic and natural way that truly represented who she is, what her values are, and just how much she cares about others. Racquel, all the way from Manila in the Philippines, welcome to the Mission First People Always podcast.
Thank you, Michael. And I'm really, really happy to be here.
And I appreciate you jumping on and doing this on a Saturday morning. You know, a mutual friend, a reliable source in my book, tells me that you are the most connected, well-networked person in the Philippines. You know everyone, and everyone knows you. First, is that true? And second, how did it happen?
I think our mutual friend is just happy just because I think network for him, at least for him and for me, is really knowing the relevant people in the industry, and then mixing them in events or just social gatherings, and then you realize that they have things in common, and then they go into business together, or it's something that is beneficial for both, and that becomes I guess networking. But to me, it happened because of several things. Number one, you mentioned my career essentially, and I've been with 9 employers all through my 30 years of working in the Philippines, and I've had a chance to work in the Asia Pacific region as well, even taking care of Nepal, Bangladesh in the 90s. And so there, that allowed me to be exposed in that area. And then I've had a chance to travel the world. So that's another thing, I guess, that made it so easy for me. Traveling would really allow you to know and to get to know people. And then I suppose my job that involved sales and marketing and general management allowed me to also meet many corporate accounts, suppliers, and just making friends in industries that are very diverse. Just because the work that I have in general management allows me to be in HR, in IT, in finance, and so there are different networks for each of those. And then I'd like to say that my family, my friends who are immediate connections, really would allow you to, or allowed me to, to just get and build my connections in that area. And I was always participating, for example, in friends and families events or advocacies, like, or even my daughters. I have two daughters. One who is 27, who's in Spain, has been in Spain for 5 years now, doing work there for building English language in interior part of Spain. And then my 21-year-old is studying medicine, and both of them have been involved in parents association and essentially their lives growing up. So I think that would be an initial I think points for me to say on how I was able to build some connections.
So it sounds as though you've just embedded this lifestyle of connection and building your network into all you do. And now that you've got several years behind you in terms of your professional life, you've got some great perspective. You're looking back on a 30-year career. In your view, what's the value of networking? What has it done for you? I don't know if it's ever possible to quantify or monetize the value of a relationship, but just reflect a moment with us. Why do we need to do this? What's the value of networking?
Well, for me, the value of those connections, I would say, is first and foremost would be relative to your job. Like, for example, if you are in sales and marketing and you have this type of connections, it's relatively easy to be able to sell whatever it is you're selling. I really believe that people buy products not because, yes, because of the product, but usually it is because of an influence of a friend or an influence of somebody who's credible. So I think that there's value there that's relative to your job. There's also value in being able to access somebody that can help you get more information about the place, for example. So when you're traveling, for example, and it's the first time you're traveling to a particular place and you don't know anywhere, you don't know anything, but you know someone who has lived there, who has gone there, then that gives you additional knowledge and getting you prepared to go to that place. So there's really, and that doesn't have to be, in a monetary value, I guess, as compared to relating it to your job in sales, for instance. But I think in general, what I would say is really the value for me in networking is really gaining so much knowledge and wisdom in the lives of people, talking about their work, what they have accomplished, what lessons you can learn from the things that they have done. And the more diverse it is, the more information you're able to get. So I'm such a sponge when it comes to information. I'm genuinely interested also in the lives of people. And so that's how I get to learn all this. And then it becomes a friendship, and then it becomes deeper than that, that the next time, you need something, whether information or anything at all, you're able to really get access to that. So I think the value is really the friendship and the enjoyment of just living this life in this world.
So it sounds like you have always been energized by meeting new people, gaining insight and information, and just being part of other people's lives. So networking was never really a chore for you or something that I can't imagine. And that you have a list, and one of the items on your list is I'm going to network today. How have you approached it?
Okay, you're right. I don't really. In fact, I even cringe at the term networking, because to me, networking seems to be a purpose. Meaning, the reason why you're doing this is because. So, if you're in sales, then you're selling. That's why you're networking. Okay, let me step back. I think part of it also is because, and I've built these connections because I was interested in many things. For example, sports. I had the opportunity to live in a camp because my dad was in the military. So that, if you look at that community, that's one network that I have. And I've grown up with these people. So I have childhood friends that are still my friends today, and that we've played many sports just because they were available and accessible for us inside the camp, inside the base. So I've played so many. And so as you grow up and as you get interested in more, and you narrow it down with, let's say in my case, golf. I play golf, and so you have like three or four other people in one flight, and you're with them for 5 hours. It's accidental that you're playing golf with them, and if you're in a tournament, you have to play with people who are not necessarily your friends. So you become friends with them. And for 5 hours, you must talk about something that's interesting to any one of you. And to me personally, I'm always interested in finding out, like, where are you from? And it's not just from, work, but also like, what's your hometown in the Philippines? Or where did you come from if you're a foreigner? Or, how do you like living here, for instance? Or how do you like doing this? So it's always a conversation. Part of it maybe because my personality also is, I'm very talkative, and I'm always, just very very open. My friends call me Energizer Bunny. I speak too fast. I just want to really get as much information as you can from people. So accidental that I have these connections because of that. But I have many other examples of that. For example, studying. I always tell people, study, study, study. I never stop studying. After college, and then after getting married and having a kid, immediately I went to graduate school, and so that's another kind of like network, I guess, that, or community that you can call. And I'm again still in touch with them, because these friends of mine have built their careers also wherever they're from, and they're from diverse backgrounds. When you go to graduate school, usually business school would be from different industries. So it's accidental again that I've built that, but with my interest in knowing people, and then it becomes the friendship that carries on for a long time. And so then when our common friend would say, you have so many connections. Yes, because it just so happened that I had that because I studied, and because I had built that friendship over time. They're still there. So if I make a phone call, or I look them up in Facebook, assuming that I haven't talked to them in a long time, and I just reach out to them and say hello. No, it's not just going to be a hello back. It's going to be like a conversation of some sort, and so it's a long chat before you know it. So that's how I got into this, I suppose.
So it seems like you're saying the right mindset for someone who wants to expand their community. You said you didn't like the word network, so I'm curious what word you like better. I'll use community. To someone who wants to expand their community is a mindset of genuine curiosity. Would you agree with that? Or what is the right mindset for someone who wants to keep expanding their community and growing their connections?
First of all, I would call it connections and communities. So we're aligned with that instead of calling it, it's not okay. Network is a good word, but the networking is the one that I am iffy about, just because it seems to me that it is a verb, and it is something that you do. So to me, it's not what I do. It's not networking that I do. I'm just generally, which is what you were referring to as a mindset, interested in people. But also, when I do join, let's say, a club or an association, like for example, a homeowners association. My purpose is to get to know my neighbors. It's the best way to do that. And the second thing is, if my interest is on security, then at least I get to know my neighbors who will help me, being secure in my home somehow. So because I know the people that are within my community, but also because I was interested in other things. For example, the time we had a new law about, and it's what it was called, the Magna Carta for homeowners. And so I wanted to learn more about that. So the mindset of learning, I suppose, has always been there. I think what I would say also that I do have, and that I will encourage people not to have, is that I do recognize that if you have an agenda, a hidden agenda, and it is obvious, like you only go there and you only go there once or twice just because you want to network, you want to meet people because you're selling something, that to me is a turn off. Because there is an agenda. It's, to me, it's not really it is a purpose, yes, but somehow it turns people off. People would know why you were there. But if you're there because of things that are not necessarily involving other people, but you yourself just really want to learn about the community, about what's happening here, about security, what's happening here, about where can we get access when something happens, for instance. That is common among your neighbors, for example. And so that's what I look for as well. What is really common, but at the same time also diverse about our mindset and our backgrounds, that will allow me to learn from people. And hopefully, because of also my lifestyle and my in general, that I hope people also will learn from me. So then it becomes just a conversation and storytelling, and then it becomes it becomes an enjoyment. It's not because there's something there, you're selling something. Then usually that's the purpose of people, and I've seen that everywhere in organizations or social gatherings that I've joined. And to me, okay, I know that what those people are doing, so I'm just gonna go and stay with my friends. And sometimes I don't even have to just go around and meet people. I'm not that way. When I go to a gathering, I'm actually with friends and just enjoying it. When it happens that they have friends that they want to introduce to me, or I have friends that I want to introduce to some people, just because I think that they would have a good connection, then yes, that's how I would be in gatherings, but not because there's a hidden agenda.
So it seems like if I'm understanding you correctly, the right mindset is a mindset of openness to learning. It's a mindset of mutual benefit. It's a lack of an agenda that solely benefits you or your business. It really is about being a good human being in relationship with other human beings, trying to make some connections on common ground. Did I get that right?
Yes, you got it right, Michael. I think it's very accurately. You were able to put it in and sum it up in those few points. That's correct.
So I've heard you say that it's important to connect and build community with people who are relevant. What do you mean by relevant people? Is that a professional relevance? Is it some sort of common interest perspective? What do you mean by relevant people?
So I mean relevant people by the latter that you defined, which is really being with people with common interests or just common background. So that's what I mean by being relevant, not in a negative sense. It becomes for me relevant when you're in the same group, and so everyone have the same interest, and so to me that's relevant because it's common. So that's why I chose that word deliberately.
You mentioned in your early comments just after I introduced you that you've been with 9 different organizations in very senior positions, I might say, over a 30-year career. How often have you been able to leverage your connections with others, your community, your network, to grow professionally and to help other people grow professionally?
Well, very often, because a lot of people also that I have grown up with, for example, that I've grown with in terms of the telecom industry, have also moved on to other industries. And so when you make that connection again, for example, or you've always had that connection, and then you see that, oh, you're common with so and so. So I don't know if it's gonna help, but if this is something for you that would help you in either your career or to further your education or whatever then I'll introduce you to so and so person. And so it has grown also for my friends. So as I have built this connection, so did my friends. And so as I have moved on, so did my friends. And so you just have this bigger community, I suppose, in both business and advocacy, or even non-government organizations that I've seen over the past 30 years. So people in telecom, for example, was so interesting that in the early 90s, that certainly reveals my age, but in the early 90s when I started working, a lot of people got into telecom as well, because it was a time when the Philippines was deregulating the telecom industry. So from one player to multiple players, 11. So can you imagine one player that you were talking to, and then now suddenly talking to 10 others? And then over time, that has changed, and then we're down to 3. So the evolution also, and the things that have happened in the industry, it's very interesting that you've seen people moving around everywhere. Then I get into healthcare, and then I see I see people who have also been in telecom that are now with healthcare, but maybe in other aspects of healthcare that are still relevant to them in terms of their background. Like I've met with hospitals, for example, that are that had requirements for electronic medical records, and so therefore they have a need for a telecom provider, or at least somebody that knows telecom solutions and all that. And then you see that, oh, these are the folks that I've met with in the past, or friends that I know from that industry, and now they're also in the similar industry, and so there's always that connection that we have, and so now there's something common again. So, and it's really just part of the reconnection.
You
So,
mentioned
mhm.
you mentioned earlier, or maybe I brought it up. You didn't bring it up necessarily, but we've used this term maven, and I believe you've suggested that all of us should aspire to be a maven. What exactly do you mean by that? And by the way, a maven is someone who's an expert or a connoisseur in a particular area. They bring unique expertise. So, why should we aspire to be mavens and be an influencer, influence other people? How does it all connect together in this context of building a network?
Okay, so I have I remember that I picked up this word in I believe it was Malcolm Gladwell's book, and he was talking about influencers and what have you. But Maven is different because it's a whole different level. So and you're right about the definition on the becoming an expert. So in terms of so when I connect that to networking, you have to be somebody who is an expert on one field. What is expertise for me? Expertise with me would be achieving a level where you know that you are such a connoisseur, or somebody that people can go to because you know a lot, hopefully everything about a particular topic, a particular um, uh, event, a particular whatever, so that expertise, people go to you. And so when people go to you, then they are the ones that will really get that connection. So a maven for me would also be somebody who would be credible to be a speaker for, something. And again, sharing that information, sharing the experience, sharing, whatever wisdom that they can give to other people. And so other people learn from them. So I got myself, I got people call me the chief maven instead of calling me the GM for a call center slash outsource company. And I was doing this for a healthcare facility or healthcare company and a bank and a solar energy or solar power for a U.S. company. And so there, it was diverse. And to me, the term to use at the time. So I was chief maven, and I had mavens, and these are the agents that I had in my organization then, because I wanted them to have that mindset that they should be an expert in whatever it is that they're doing, so that it's easier for them to move up or to move laterally and be again a maven in another one, just building their skills and their knowledge so that they can become successful, hopefully in their career and rise through the ranks. So that was really my purpose. It's a mindset as well. And so I like at that time it was part of the strategy for people management, but at the same time I truly believe that if you have that mindset, then people will begin to do that. And when you get to that expert level, that means a lot of studying, a lot of learning. And so studying would mean not just self-study, but also really getting educated by institutions that are experts in their fields. Like for example, I never stopped studying. So I tell people, do not stop studying. Always get into a course. There's always something new that you learn. Life is what it is. It's constantly evolving. Right? So, and there's always new trends. So studying is actually good. So the most recent what I did was, for example, the Institute of Corporate Directors. This is an organization in the Philippines that will train and make executives become independent directors of SEC registered companies. So you can only become a director if you've had really such experiences and such knowledge and such insights about your industry or your background. And so you can contribute to the board of directors from outside, for example, on what is happening in particular industries that you have become an expert in. So that's what I meant by that. And it's all related to networking, yes, because then people see you as an expert, as a maven. And then when there's that recognition, you don't even have to network. People will just come to you because they recognize your expertise.
Yeah, you attract people with your expertise and your willingness to share that expertise. Racquel, we're coming close to the end of our time together. So I always like to make our conversations as practical and useful as possible for the audience. So could you give our listeners even just one idea, one practical thing that they could begin doing right away to build a better network, to expand their community, to be in the position to benefit as you have from your network? What advice would you give them?
I would say join a club or when I say a club, that means it can be an association, even in your own subdivision, or it can be join a club that could be just a sports, for example, like a badminton club or something. My advice to people is don't be just a member, not even active member. Okay. You have to take leadership, meaning you become a member, you become active, and then you become part of an officer of that club. That to me is a way to really hone your skills and become an expert in that. When you usually get a position of leadership, that makes you a maven. That makes you, in a sense, some bit of expertise, because people will not put you there, or you won't be qualified if you don't have that kind of skill or some sort of expertise. So that's what I would say. Join a club or an organization, and then be an active member, as well as a leader at some point in joining that club.
Excellent advice. Racquel, if a member of the audience wants to reach out to you in some way and keep this conversation going, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
All right. So since I mentioned that my family name is very difficult to pronounce.
I think I mentioned that.
Yeah. And since I will not even attempt to spell it out, I think you will be able to share. Hopefully you can share my contacts details. So the people can find me in Facebook. So Messenger is a good one. And so I'm in Facebook. It's Racquel Reyes Cagurangan. I'm also in LinkedIn, Racquel Cagurangan. My email address is racquelcagurangan@gmail.com. I made it so easy for people, except for the spelling, I guess. So they will always have to take a look at your link, because even the spelling of my name, Racquel, is with a C. Most people will just have the Raqel. I'd be happy to also give my mobile number to you, Michael, so that they can also reach out to me in WhatsApp or Viber, even in Telegram. I'm there. I'm big on social media. So hopefully people can reach out to me, and please ask away. I am always interested to also find new friends, that would have the same interests. So thank you for that, Michael. Oh, you know what? I want to tell you also something, just very quickly. A friend of mine influenced me to write a book, and I'm actually starting to do that. I used to be a blogger when I was so big in golf about 12 years ago. I played in 35 golf courses in the Philippines, and we had over 100. But I played the 35 golf courses in just 1 year. So that was a mission for me, for myself, and that's how I got to know also and build my connections there in the golfing community. And so I took to writing. I was interested in blogging. And so I wrote about my experience, the food that I have eaten, etc. And it was pinkpotter.com.ph, which was my, and unfortunately it was hacked. And so I lost all the content. So I wanted to go back to writing. And I'm looking at the title Remarkable, because I've had remarkable people in my life, remarkable events that I've attended, remarkable places that I have been to, and hopefully people can really be part of it somehow. So I say that that is one of my goals in the next hopefully 5 years. I guess that's it. So thank you, Michael, for this chance.
Well, thanks for sharing your writing project. When you're a little further along on that, we'll certainly have you back. I'm intrigued by your golfing history. If I ever make it to the Philippines, you may have to show me around a golf course or two when I'm over there. But in the meantime, thank you so much for being a great guest on the Mission First People Always podcast. Racquel, here's some things that I picked up from our conversation. Be a lifelong learner, be curious, be generous with your knowledge, become an expert, become a maven, join organizations and become a leader in those organizations. Just don't be a member. Don't network for purposes that are solely beneficial to you. Again, be generous, be kind, share what you know, and everyone wins. So with that, I thank all of my listeners for being part of this conversation. Again, thank you, Racquel. Until we talk again, thank you for being part of the Mission First People Always community. Have a great day.
Thank you, Michael. And you just summed my life story. So thank you so much.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to create a stronger, more people-centric and empowered culture for your organization, visit drmikepatterson.com.